The twin suns of Eloria bathed the palace in a soft, golden light. Its towers sparkled like crystal, and the gardens below were filled with plants that shimmered in colors no human eye had ever seen. Princess Liara walked along the highest balcony, her silver robes fluttering in the gentle breeze. She loved this place, yet it often felt like a golden cage. Every move she made, every word she spoke was watched. The palace was beautiful, but it was also a prison. Liara paused, gazing at the distant horizon where the city met the forest. Her thoughts were elsewhere. She thought of Ethan, the human she had secretly met 3 weeks ago. Humans were considered weak and unworthy on Eloria. They were not allowed to hold positions of power, and most aliens believed they lacked intelligence. Yet Ethan had proven her wrong. He was clever, brave, and curious in ways no Elorian could understand. It had started innocently. Ethan was part of a delegation from Earth, sent to Eloria to discuss trade and diplomacy. He was a human ambassador, yet unlike anyone Liara had ever met. While the other humans stayed cautious and formal, Ethan asked questions. He explored, he observed, and he noticed things the aliens took for granted. He was fascinated by Eloria's technology and beauty, but he also laughed at its strange customs. That laughter, small and genuine, had captivated Liara. Their first meeting had been by chance. Liara had been wandering the palace gardens, trying to find a place free from her guards. She had stopped beside a glowing fountain when she heard a voice behind her. "You must be the princess," the human said, bowing awkwardly. His voice was calm, yet full of curiosity. "I'm Ethan. I've read about your accomplishments, your speeches, even your studies in history and technology. But I prefer meeting people in person." Liara told him about the history of Eloria, the struggles of her people, and the burdens of being heir to the throne. Ethan shared stories of Earth, of human struggles and triumphs, and his fascination with the unknown. Each meeting made their bond stronger. Liara admired Ethan's courage. He never hesitated in dangerous situations. He adapted quickly, and he asked questions when everyone else accepted rules blindly. In a world where Elorians valued order and protocol above all, Ethan's mind was a storm of creativity and curiosity. Yet danger was never far. The palace was filled with spies, advisors, and servants who reported everything. Love between a human and a princess was forbidden. If anyone discovered their secret, Ethan could be executed, and Liara could lose her claim to the throne. Still, she could not bring herself to end the meetings. She would sneak out at night, leaving her chambers silently, moving through the secret passages of the palace. Ethan would wait in the gardens or sometimes in the abandoned observation towers. On this particular day, Liara had arranged to meet him in the eastern gardens, a place few humans had ever seen. She descended carefully, avoiding the guards patrolling the lower terraces. The garden was quiet, bathed in the soft light of the suns, and the plants seemed to glow as if welcoming her. There he was, sitting on a stone bench, studying a small device that flickered with lights. "You came," he said, looking up. "I always come," Liara replied, her voice soft. Ethan smiled. "I wish we didn't have to hide. And yet I can't ignore what I feel. I know I am risking everything, but I cannot leave you behind." Suddenly a faint sound broke the moment, the clatter of armored boots echoing through the gardens. Liara tensed. "Someone is coming," she whispered. Ethan looked around quickly. "We should move now." Her heart pounded with fear and excitement. Every step they took was a risk, but every risk strengthened their bond. Finally, they reached a small chamber beneath the eastern tower. It was dusty and unused, a forgotten corner of the palace. They collapsed onto the floor, breathing heavily. "You're amazing," Ethan said, still smiling despite the danger. "You saved us again." "I shouldn't have to save us. I wish the world could see that love, that courage, matters more than rules." She had been preparing for this day, knowing the council's spies were clever, but she had hoped to avoid a confrontation. Now it was no longer just a matter of hiding. The council would move against them sooner or later, and when they did, she would have to act. As they sat together, a faint sound of communication echoed through the chamber walls. A hidden receiver in the palace tunnels was picking up signals from the council. Liara frowned. "They're already planning something," she said. Ethan tilted his head. "Then we need to know what. Humans are good at thinking differently. Maybe we can use that." She had chosen him for many reasons, but she had underestimated how his mind worked under pressure. While Elorians relied on strict rules and protocol, Ethan thrived in uncertainty. And that was exactly what she needed. They spent hours planning, studying the maps of the palace and marking hidden paths. Liara explained the routines of the guards, the weaknesses in the palace's security, and the areas most likely to be watched. Ethan listened carefully, asking questions, making suggestions, and even spotting flaws in her plans that she had never considered. By the time the twin suns had set and the moons rose, casting a silver glow over the palace, they had a plan, a way to remain hidden to protect each other, and perhaps to uncover the council's next moves. It was risky, but every moment without action was more dangerous. Liara leaned back, exhaustion pulling at her limbs. "I never imagined that a human could change everything," she admitted softly. Ethan took her hand again. "Not change everything, Liara. Help reveal what is already possible. Humans may be underestimated, but we are resilient. We survive because we adapt. And together, we can do more than survive." Hope that their courage, their intelligence, and their connection could withstand the trials ahead. Hope that humanity's unique strengths, curiosity, adaptability, courage, could shine in a world that had never valued them. Liara looked at Ethan, her heart firm. She would fight for him. She would fight for what they had. And if the council thought they could control her love or her choices, they were gravely mistaken. The palace lights dimmed as the night deepened, and the hidden chamber became a world of its own. Two beings from different worlds, facing an uncertain future, found strength in each other. And while the council's eyes watched from afar, they could not see the bond forming, nor the determination burning quietly in the hearts of Liara and Ethan. Tomorrow would bring danger. Tomorrow might bring betrayal. But tonight, there was courage, hope, and a secret love that even the most powerful council could not extinguish. And for Liara and Ethan, that was enough. The morning sun rose over the palace, painting the towers in soft shades of gold and rose. Liara sat in her chambers, staring at the ornate walls, her hands folded in her lap. Her mind was restless. The previous night had been tense, full of whispered plans and cautious movements through hidden passages. She had thought they were safe, for the moment at least. But the council did not sleep, and neither did their spies. Ethan was in a small, hidden room nearby, studying a map of the city and palace grounds. He had been awake for hours, thinking and planning, his human mind working in ways Liara admired more each day. Humans were underestimated on Eloria, but he had already proven that cleverness and courage could match any technology the aliens possessed. Suddenly, a soft knock echoed at Liara's chamber door. She stiffened, knowing who it likely was. A palace attendant entered, bowing low. "Your Highness," the attendant said, voice tight. "A message from the council." She took the small crystal tablet the attendant handed her and read it. The council had summoned her to the palace hall immediately. They demanded she explain her actions, her secret meetings, her late-night movements, and most dangerously, her connection to a human named Ethan. Liara's heart sank. The council was moving faster than she had expected. They already suspected the bond, and now they were preparing to act. She felt a cold weight settle over her. If Ethan were caught, he could face execution. The council would not hesitate to enforce the law. Ethan appeared at the door, his face pale but determined. "They've summoned you," he said quietly. "We have little time. You have to be careful. The council is clever, and their spies are everywhere." Yet they moved swiftly, their trust in each other guiding them through the labyrinth. When they arrived at the outer gardens, the palace gates were already opening. Liara's heart raced as she saw council members arriving, robes flowing, faces stern and unyielding. The hall had been prepared for a trial, though she knew it was only a formality. The council had already decided the outcome. Humans were dangerous in their eyes, and Ethan was an easy target. Liara took a deep breath and stepped into the hall. Her robes shimmered in the morning light as she approached the dais where the council sat. Ethan followed, careful to remain slightly behind her. Their presence caused a stir among the assembled nobles. Whispers spread quickly, a mix of curiosity and scandal. "Princess Liara," the council leader began, voice sharp and commanding, "you have repeatedly violated the laws of our people. You have met with a human in secret, defying the customs and risking the safety of the crown. You must answer. Why have you endangered us?" "I have spoken with Ethan, yes, but he is not a threat. He is clever, brave, and honest. If you see him as dangerous, then you underestimate the value of understanding and cooperation. Such deception is treason. Fairness does not excuse treason. You have lied, and the law demands execution. If he is punished, I will share the consequences. But love cannot excuse the law. A human, by their nature, cannot hold loyalty to Eloria above their own world. Can you guarantee he will serve our people faithfully?" You cannot see it because your laws are blind to human value. A human has no place in the palace, and a princess cannot override our judgment. I do not ask for mercy for myself, only that my truth be heard. I did not lie, I did not betray you. Let that guide your decision. Prepare yourselves. Not while I breathe, we will find a way. Your human ingenuity is a gift, Ethan. Trust in it, trust in yourself, and trust in me. Together they began to see a path, though dangerous, that could save them both. As evening approached, the council sent a messenger with a new decree. Ethan was to be confined until his trial to prevent further interference. The guards arrived, expecting compliance. Liara's heart raced, but she did not falter. Ethan glanced at her, his eyes steady. "We can do this," he said. "Even if it seems impossible, we will find a way." The guards approached, confident in their authority. Liara stepped forward, her robes flowing, her head held high. "Ethan is under my protection," she declared. "You will not take him without me." With quick, precise movements, they activated the hidden passages, slipping past the guards into the tunnels below. The palace corridors twisted and turned like a living maze. Liara led the way, her knowledge of secret paths invaluable. Ethan followed, occasionally pausing to observe, analyze, and suggest small adjustments. His human mind saw possibilities Liara had overlooked, turning danger into opportunity. By the time the first moon rose in the sky, they had reached a secluded chamber far beneath the palace. The air was cool and quiet, a sharp contrast to the tension above. They paused, catching their breath, but knowing this was only the beginning. "The council will not stop," Liara said softly. "They will come for us again." For the first time, she truly believed that the human beside her could change the rules, could challenge the council, and could prove that courage, intelligence, and love were forces no law could suppress. Outside, the palace lights flickered, unaware that two beings, one alien and one human, were already planning a future that would defy tradition, confront danger, and reveal the hidden strength of humanity. And as the night deepened, Liara and Ethan prepared for the trials ahead, knowing that together they could face whatever the council might throw at them, and survive. The hidden chamber beneath the palace was dark, lit only by the soft glow of crystal lanterns that lined the walls. Liara and Ethan sat across from each other, their faces illuminated by the gentle light. The air was cool, carrying a faint metallic scent, but it was a refuge from the danger above. For the first time since the council had summoned them, they could breathe without immediate threat. Ethan spread a worn map of the palace over a stone table. He traced the paths they had taken and marked several points he suspected were weakly guarded. His brow furrowed as he studied the intricate lines and symbols. Humans had a different way of thinking, seeing patterns and solutions that aliens often overlooked. "Look here," Ethan said, pointing to a section of the outer tunnels. "The council relies heavily on drones for surveillance. They follow programmed paths and rarely adapt. If we can predict their routes, we can move without being detected." "I hope you mean me. We need to plan our next move carefully. If we make one mistake, they will capture us immediately. We need to turn their assumptions against them. If they think we are weak or predictable, we can surprise them." Humans relied on adaptability, creativity, and courage. Where the council saw obstacles, Ethan and Liara saw opportunities. Finally, Liara stood and stretched. "We cannot stay here forever. Eventually, the council will send more guards, more drones. We need to move, find a safer place, and gather allies. I think I know a route that can take us outside the city undetected." As they emerged near the city's edge, the air felt fresher, the glow of the moons casting silver light over the alien landscape. The city was alive with activity, though none seemed aware of the two fugitives moving silently beneath its streets. "This way," Ethan whispered, pointing to a narrow path leading toward the forest. "The council won't expect anyone to take this route. It's rarely used and poorly monitored." Every now and then they paused, listening for distant sounds of pursuit. Hours passed as they navigated the forest, following the winding path Ethan had identified. Eventually, they reached a small clearing where the forest opened to a quiet river. The water reflected the moon's light like a mirror, calm and serene. For a moment they stopped, catching their breath and letting the stillness of the place wash over them. "We can rest here for a while," Liara said softly. "They cannot find us here easily. The council will not think we could reach this far undetected. We need to gather information, find allies, and understand what the council is truly planning. They are clever, but not infallible. Liara, your courage is remarkable. Most people would have surrendered, obeyed the council, or abandoned the human they cared for. But you fight, and that makes all the difference. Perhaps stronger than even we realize. Ethan, she said finally, her voice serious, we need to move beyond hiding. We need to understand the council's real plan. They are not just trying to remove you, they are trying to manipulate the entire palace. We must uncover their secrets before it is too late. And we do it using what humans do best, thinking differently. They moved under cover of night, using the forest as a shield. Ethan's ingenuity shone as he suggested ways to avoid sensors and patrols, creating decoys with stones and reflected light. Liara's knowledge of the land and palace tunnels guided them through hidden paths, avoiding detection. Together, they were a team unlike any other, human adaptability and alien familiarity in perfect balance. As they approached the outer limits of the city, they encountered a small patrol. Liara froze, but Ethan whispered, "Watch and follow my lead." Using a combination of shadows, timing, and distraction, he guided them past the patrol without being seen. Liara marveled at his calm under pressure. Humans were often underestimated, but Ethan proved that intelligence and courage could match any challenge. Finally, they reached the edge of the city where the communication hub was located. It was heavily guarded, as expected, with drones patrolling the perimeter. Ethan examined the security patterns and pointed out weak points. "The drones move in predictable cycles," he said. "If we time it right, we can slip through unnoticed." For a brief moment they were inside, surrounded by consoles and screens displaying streams of information. "This is incredible," Liara whispered. "We can see everything, the council's plans, their communications, their spies. Let's see what the council really wants." Finally, Ethan leaned back, a triumphant smile on his face. "We have what we need. Now we can act, plan, and protect ourselves. The council thinks they control the palace, but they do not control us. Not yet. And together, we can face whatever comes next." As dawn approached, the forest around them began to glow with the first light of the twin suns. Liara and Ethan emerged from the hub, careful and quiet, carrying the knowledge that could change the course of the palace, the council, and the future of humans on Eloria. They had survived the night, uncovered secrets, and proved that courage, intelligence, and heart could overcome even the most rigid traditions. And while the council would continue to search, continue to plan, Liara and Ethan now held the advantage. Together, human adaptability and alien insight had created a force the council could not predict. And that force would grow, stronger with every choice, every plan, and every act of courage they shared. The forest was alive with the soft rustle of leaves as Liara and Ethan moved quietly through the undergrowth. The glow of the twin suns had faded, replaced by the cool silver of the moons above. Each step carried a mix of caution and determination. They had uncovered the council's secret plans and learned of their manipulation, but knowing the truth was only the first step. Now they had to act and survive. Ethan paused near a cluster of luminous trees, kneeling to inspect the ground. "The council is not sitting idle," he said, his voice low. "They have sent patrols into the forest. We need to move carefully. Then we split their attention. We cannot fight them head-on, we must outsmart them." Liara led with confidence, her knowledge of the land guiding them, while Ethan constantly scanned for threats, analyzing patterns and anticipating movement. Together, they were a blend of intuition and strategy, courage and cleverness. After several hours, they reached a small river that cut through the forest. The water was clear and cool, reflecting the moonlight like a ribbon of silver. Liara knelt to drink, while Ethan examined the surrounding area. "We can use this river to mask our trail," he suggested. "The council's sensors will be less effective near moving water, and the patrols will be slower here. We use our minds when strength is not enough." Eventually, they reached a secluded glade, hidden from the main paths and nearly invisible to the drones above. It was a safe place to rest, but only briefly. They needed a longer-term strategy. Liara sat on a moss-covered rock, her mind racing. "The council wants to control everything," she said. "They think rules and fear are enough to make people obey. But they underestimate courage and adaptability. The council has spies in the palace, but there are also those loyal to you. If we can reach them, we can form a small network. They can provide information, help us navigate the palace, and create distractions when needed. And together, we show the council that courage, intelligence, and loyalty cannot be controlled by fear alone." The drones moved above, their lights scanning the trees, but Ethan had anticipated their patterns. Using reflections from leaves and small devices they had created, they diverted the drone's attention, slipping past undetected. Hours later, they reached the outskirts of a small village hidden in the forest. The village was home to several Elorians who had chosen a life away from the palace, living simply and independently. Liara recognized some of them from brief encounters at the palace, loyal citizens who valued freedom and justice over rigid obedience. They approached cautiously, knowing the council might have spies everywhere. Ethan took the lead, using small gestures to communicate with Liara, guiding their steps. When they reached the village center, a few villagers noticed them, their eyes widening in recognition. "Princess Liara," one of the villagers whispered. "Is it really you? We cannot face them alone. We must gather information, protect Ethan, and prepare for the council's next move." Liara's leadership inspired the villagers, giving them courage and hope they had not felt in years. One evening, as they reviewed plans by the glow of a fire, Ethan spoke softly. "The council believes humans are weak, that we cannot match alien technology, but they forget that adaptability and creativity are strengths. We can turn their confidence against them. And they underestimate the power of unity. Humans and loyal Elorians together are stronger than any council decree." Using reflections from the river, small noise-making devices, and quick diversions, they led the enforcers away from the village. The council had relied on rigid tactics, but Liara and Ethan used unpredictability, thinking several steps ahead. As the enforcers stumbled through the forest following false trails, the village remained safe. The villagers watched in awe as Liara and Ethan returned unscathed. Liara's voice was steady. "This is only the beginning. We cannot fight the council with brute force. We fight with intelligence, courage, and strategy. That is what makes us stronger. We survive by adapting, by thinking differently, and together we are unstoppable." The council grew frustrated, unable to predict the actions of the princess and her human ally. Despite the danger, Liara found moments of hope. She saw how humans, with their courage and ingenuity, could inspire even Elorians to think differently. Ethan's actions proved that strength was not only physical or technological, but also mental and moral. He showed that adaptability, quick thinking, and courage could overcome fear and rigid rules. One night, as they watched the moons rise over the forest, Liara turned to Ethan. "We have survived, yes, but the council will not give up. They will escalate their attacks. The council relies on fear and control, but we rely on creativity, unity, and heart. That is our advantage." The bond between Liara and Ethan, the courage of humans, and the loyalty of those inspired by them created a force the council had not anticipated. As the forest settled into silence, Liara and Ethan continued their planning. Every day brought new challenges, but every challenge also revealed new strengths. They were no longer running blindly. They were strategizing, adapting, and preparing for the battles ahead, battles of intelligence, courage, and heart. The council might have had numbers, technology, and authority, but Liara and Ethan had something far more powerful: trust in each other, the ability to think differently, and the courage to defy expectations. And as long as they held that, no council, no law, and no tradition could defeat them. The future was uncertain, and danger remained. But Liara and Ethan were ready. Ready to face the council's next moves, ready to protect each other, and ready to prove that humans, when underestimated, could be extraordinary. And in that readiness, they found hope, strength, and the knowledge that they were no longer just fugitives. They were a force that could change Eloria forever. The morning sun cast long, golden beams over the city of Eloria, reflecting off the tall towers of the palace. Liara and Ethan stood on a hill overlooking the capital. The city sprawled beneath them like a living map of order and tradition. From this distance, the palace seemed peaceful, but both knew that within its walls, danger and deception still thrived. The council had not given up, and the time had come for action. Liara turned to Ethan, her eyes steady. "We have gathered our allies, learned their plans, and prepared for whatever they send. Today, we end this. We reclaim the palace, not with force, but with intelligence, courage, and unity. Today, we show the council that courage and ingenuity are stronger than power alone." The council believed themselves in control, but they had underestimated the humans' ability to adapt, to anticipate, and to act decisively. As they approached the palace gates, Liara raised her hand. "We go in together, not as princess and human, but as leaders, as equals. We are here to reveal the truth, to show that courage and intelligence cannot be silenced. Then let's do it. Every obstacle they faced only strengthened their resolve. Finally, they reached the grand hall where the council awaited, confident in their power. The nobles' robes flowed as they turned to see Liara and Ethan standing together, unafraid. The air was tense, filled with the weight of anticipation. The council leader's voice cut through the silence. "Princess Liara, you have returned. Do you not understand the danger you bring? And you, human, you dare enter the palace again. You think we cannot match your technology, your numbers, or your authority, but humans adapt. We think differently. And together we have uncovered your plans, learned your weaknesses, and gathered those who believe in justice. Today, your control ends." The council had relied on intimidation, but Liara and Ethan's confidence, combined with the loyal citizens' support, was unsettling. The council leader slammed his gavel, attempting to regain authority. "Enough! The laws of Eloria are clear. You will face consequences for this insolence. Your plans to control the palace through fear have failed. Your manipulations are exposed." The council members' faces turned pale as their power slipped away. One noble gasped, How did you know?" "Humans may be underestimated, but our strengths are undeniable. And even your guards are not blind to courage and fairness." The tide had turned, not with violence, but with unity and strategy. The council leader's voice shook. This is impossible. This is the future of Eloria, one that values all who act with honor and intelligence, regardless of origin. Liara stepped closer to Ethan, her eyes full of gratitude and determination. "We did it together," she whispered. Ethan took her hand, smiling. "And this is only the beginning. Humans may be underestimated, but we have shown what we can achieve, and together we can create a better future." The council had lost its grip, not because of force, but because of courage, strategy, and the unshakable bond between Liara and Ethan. In the days that followed, Liara assumed full control of the palace. The council members who had plotted against her were removed, not punished with cruelty, but held accountable under fair and transparent laws. She implemented reforms, encouraging collaboration, valuing intelligence and adaptability, and recognizing the contributions of humans and aliens alike. Ethan was appointed as a trusted advisor and ambassador, his human ingenuity respected and valued by all. He worked alongside Liara to create programs that fostered cooperation, learning, and understanding between humans and Elorians. The palace became a symbol of unity and courage, a place where strength was measured not by birth or status, but by intelligence, adaptability, and moral character. One evening, as the twin suns set, casting warm golden light over the palace gardens, Liara and Ethan walked side by side. The city below was alive with activity, a blend of humans and aliens working together, building a future founded on respect and collaboration. Liara looked at Ethan, her expression soft but resolute. "We have changed things, Ethan, not with fear, not with force, but with courage, intelligence, and unity. Humans have shown their true value, and now everyone sees it. The council underestimated humans, underestimated courage, and underestimated the power of truth. That mistake will not be repeated." And with their bond, their trust in each other, and their shared vision, they had reshaped Eloria forever. The moons rose higher, casting silver light over the palace and the city beyond. The council was defeated, their schemes undone. Liara and Ethan had triumphed, not only because of courage and strategy, but because of the qualities that made humans remarkable: adaptability, creativity, and the ability to think beyond rules and fear. In the days to come, humans and Elorians would learn from one another, creating a society stronger than any law or tradition could define. And at the center of it all stood a princess and a human, bound by trust, courage, and the knowledge that together they could overcome any challenge. The future of Eloria was bright, filled with possibility, and founded on the principle that true strength comes from intelligence, heart, and courage. And in that truth, Liara and Ethan found not only victory, but hope, unity, and a promise of a world where all who were brave, smart, and determined could make a difference, no matter their origin.